Hello and welcome back to Bookish. I thought I would do a quick discussion video with you as a part of my nonfiction November kind of celebration and reading. And to be honest with you, I have no idea where this is going, and I haven't really organized my thoughts very much at all. But I thought as I was reading my nonfiction selections this month, several thoughts occurred to me I want to talk about, and that is the authorial voice in historical writing. So just to give you some background, when I was in college and I was in graduate school, history writing, you were taught not to write in the first person. That I and me and we, first and then you, second person, those terms should not appear in your book because including those things weakened the points you were making. And when I taught history classes at college, intro college level history classes, and my students wrote papers, I forbade them from writing in the first person. And primarily I did this because what I found out was that oftentimes their thesis sentence would be something like, I believe that Stonewall Jackson was a greater general than William Tecumseh Sherman. And that, as a thesis sentence, to me, was just always inherently weak and weakened by the inclusion of the word I. Because to me, and this is what's come up in my reading, to me, anytime when I see the word I feel like I am getting the author's opinion and not necessarily really a factual discussion of what's going on. And that I always weakens my faith that what they're telling me is accurate and that what they're telling me is, at least in some ways, objective. I'll give you an example of why I think the use, or why I was taught the use of the word I was weak. If I say I believe Stonewall Jackson was a greater general than William Tecumseh Sherman, then it's essentially just my opinion, and you are then invited to have a different opinion, which you are. But if I state that this way, Stonewall Jackson was a greater general than William Tecumseh Sherman, then I have made a definitive statement, and to me that carries a lot more power. But in my nonfiction reading this year, I've run across, and I'm pretty much only reading history this month, I've run across two books that use the word I, in which the author inserts themselves in the narrative that they're telling, and they are a real presence. I will tell you, in one of those books, I'm finding that to be somewhat delightful, like listening to an excellent lecturer give brief lectures, one chapter at a time over a subject. And the other, I find the inclusion of the I to be somewhat off-putting and a little bit pompous, and in some ways I feel like drawing more attention to the author than the work. And therefore, this question about the use of the word I in the authorial voice came up. And that then led me to the question is, have we gone to this kind of writing because it's more marketable, because it appeals to people more, it seems friendlier, it seems less academic? And certainly, I think almost everybody's picked up an academic work of nonfiction and begun reading it and felt that kind of, distance, to the expert on the page, and it becomes boring, and there's a lot of jargon or something like that that's off-putting for the reader because the author of the work was an expert, but not necessarily a great writer. And certainly, I can see, and I don't think that, popular works of history should be written in that way. That's not what I'm talking about. But I will tell you that what I do prefer is kind of the writing style of, David McCullough. I believe McCullough writes in the third person. I don't believe he injects himself into his stories beyond perhaps the introduction or the preface, and yet his writing is lively, his writing is engaging, his writing is reader friendly, and that's kind of, I think, what I prefer. So, I said I didn't have a whole lot to say, and this would be a quick video, and I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to say, and that's turned out to be true. But I'm just interested in your opinions here. Do you have a problem with the writers of history speaking the first person in the pages of their book? Or do you not? Do you think that that is something that helps the author achieve a level of reader friendliness that would otherwise be missing? Does that kind of writing attract you more to reading history than perhaps third person writing does? Anyway, there you go. That's my nonfiction November discussion about authorial voice and the use of I in historical writing. Love to see your comments in the comment section below. As always, thank you for watching.